This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of having coming in from Andover, Mass, a good friend of mine, Adam, Spark Fitness. We're going to talk about taking a big box, turning it into a boutique feel, creating a community, and then digesting it and figure out what's next. So, Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, I used to go to U.S. Open tennis back in the day. I thought I was going to be a ball boy. My parents used to take me to Flushing all the time. So, talk about your background in tennis, and that's how it's kind of like been a linchpin for your career journey.
Yeah, sure. Growing up, I used to watch tennis on TV, and it was one of those sports that I just grew up watching and just fell in love with. I never took lessons. I'd go to the park, try to play with my parents, hit up against the wall. Then I just started playing on the high school team and ended up going to college. The best parts about tennis I think the team aspect. You know, you develop relationships, the social aspect of tennis. And then also it's obviously that you get the fitness part of it too.
Yeah. So did you play back in high school and college?
Yep. Yeah.
Talk about that.
So I grew up in York, Maine. So it's a small town on the southern tip of Maine. But we had a bunch of guys on the team, and we all would hang out, play all summer long, all spring long, and develop my best relationships on that team. And so that kind of catapulted me to play in college, because I wanted that team aspect, that camaraderie when I played at college. So I went to Merrimack College, which was a small Catholic school in Andover, Massachusetts, and played 4 years there. And again, some of my best friends are from that team.
Yeah, so my dad plays in the 9th division down in Wellington. I think he's capable of playing in the 8th division, but it would mess up his social schedule with my mom. And he slices for a living, basically. So I don't think he's getting the most popular award. I'm going to show you a cameo I got done for him for Father's Day that you'll appreciate with a famous tennis guy. You know, so when you take a look at turning that into a career, a lot of tennis centers over time have been kind of morphed into multi-purpose facilities. One tennis court kind of turns into the functional training area. Maybe you get a couple that turn into pickleball. I've seen tennis centers that have turned into, 5-on-5 soccer or what have you. So talk about kind of what COVID has done for tennis overall. I'm a big tennis player. I carry around a Babolat bag. It fits perfectly in the overhead. I only have one racket in there, but it looks like I have 8. And, if I color my hair, people think I might be playing in a tournament, which I go along with. So talk about, the rebirth of tennis, if you will.
Sure.
And, how that's playing a factor in how you look at clubs.
So, one of the things is about tennis and why I love the game is that it hits all aspects of what I think people want. They want exercise, so that it helps you get fit. But they also want friends. They want a community. They want the people to do things with. And tennis is perfect for that. And with regards to with kids, it teaches a lot of life skills. It's great physically. It teaches a lot of the skills that you need, but it also teaches how to deal with adversity, and a lot of different life skills that you need. But I don't think we've as an industry, done a great job overall of selling the benefits of tennis. And I think actually COVID helped us with bringing people back to the game. Tennis, there's 5 million new tennis players since 2020.
Wow.
And so we got this little window of growth, and now it's a matter of how we can take advantage of that. We started Spark 3 years ago, right before that pandemic, and we do tennis well, and we work focused on the community, and so we've always done, right from the get-go, we did it well. But then once COVID hit, and people were looking for a socially distant sport, but also looking for those social connections. That's what has really catapulted our program, and I think other programs to see that growth in tennis.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about the dealing with adversity. Taking one point at a time. And in order to play successfully, you really got to kind of wipe out what just happened 30 seconds ago and really refocus, or else you're just basically just on a downhill slope into losing that game. I remember when I used to play in high school, and I used to, if I was ever down love 40, I used to play in my head the Rocky, deep
Hmm.
down, and I'm like, I'm coming back. I'm getting this game. Um, do you think that the mental health component of what's going on right now, and maybe some of these tennis players saying like, "Oh, I lost the first round. I got to take like 3 or 6 months off." Is that should we maybe say, "Hey, look, let's like kind of harden ourselves up a little, maybe, and say, you know what? Yeah, we lost this game, but that's part of life, and
Yeah.
and like, what can we learn from that? And don't necessarily like take time off from the game, like just refocus and kind of slow down the tape, and let's figure out what happened,
Hmm.
and then let's keep going forward." I don't want necessarily I'm very sensitive to what people's mental health conditions are, but I also I want to keep score,
Hmm.
right? I want people to say, yeah, something bad happened, and I'm going to bounce back from that. So how do you kind of ingrain that into the culture of what you're doing, and not maybe
Hmm.
kind of going down a path of like, we're not going to keep score, or it's okay that you lost this point, or how do you kind of view it? Because we were brought up, in the same era
Yeah.
of, you know what, that coach yelled at me, and he yelled at me for a reason,
Yeah.
and he got me back on, and maybe that's not as it's socially acceptable anymore, but it worked for me.
Right. I mean, you just hit one of the best parts about tennis is dealing with adversity, dealing with lost points. Rafael Nadal at the French Open wins 52% of the points that he plays.
Right.
He's the best clay courter in the world. He's won 14 French Opens or something like that, and he wins 52% of the points that he plays. And
That's
so
a great stat. I didn't know that.
you have to deal with tennis. I think there's great lessons to be learned by dealing with adversity, stress. I mean, anybody is down a break point and has to hit a second serve knows a little bit about how to deal with stress. My son grew up playing tennis, and he enjoys it. We don't push him, but he enjoys it, and so he's had to deal with some of that stress. And he was playing in the middle school soccer championship game, and he's a pretty good player. He's not the best player on the soccer team, but the best player on the soccer team. They got to they were in the finals, got to overtime, played overtime, still tied. They had to do a shootout, and so my son Alex, he was one of the 5 kids, and so the best player on the soccer team steps up to hit the penalty kick, and he choked. He missed it wide right. Alex goes up there having the experience of being the only one on a tennis court,
Yep.
having to hit all those pressure second serves. He just goes up there and hits it into the open goal. He didn't, and ultimately they won the championship.
Awesome.
But it was one of those things where you learn how to deal with adversity. You have to deal with losing
Yeah.
in tennis, and I think and hardship and so some of the toughest people I know are tennis players.
Yeah. I used to, I tell this a lot, but I used to play goalie back in the day in soccer, not for the right reasons. One, because I was taller than everyone. I used to eat a lot of sugar as a kid, so I was a little bit chubby. And I was like, wow, I can use my hands. I don't have to run around. This is awesome. And then, if we lost the game, obviously I'm like the last line of defense. And my mom would say, it's okay, it got past the other 10 kids, it can get past you. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm the only one who's allowed to use their hands, Not a great, conclusion to the story. But I felt like that anxiety and dealing with that stress at an early age really kind of was able to help me through a lot of situations that, were tough to get through, or just say, hey, what I'm feeling right now, I've felt this before, so it's not concerning to me. I know how this feels. I know what it feels like with 2 minutes left in a soccer game. We're up 2-1, and there's a corner kick. I feel that all the time. Right. So, as you kind of take a look at the development in Spark Fit, and maybe talk about how you built this community, how important the culture is, and how you maintain that.
Yeah. So when we were very purposeful about when we started Spark, we did not want to just be a gym where people would come to the gym and just jump on the treadmill. I mean, we have that there, but who makes an emotional connection with the treadmill or the bench press?
Well, I think some of those connected fitness companies at home thought they were going to have an emotional connection with people,
Right.
without talking to them.
Right. And so, but that's not what we want it to be. Planet Fitness does a great job with that. That's not who we are. We wanted to get to know everybody. We wanted to make those connections with us and each other. And actually, what we did was right away with tennis, with CrossFit, with our boot camp classes, with Zumba, we started to make those strong connections and really try to foster that. And it really kind of helped us get through COVID. You know, when March 17th hit and we were all forced to close down, we all felt that sense of loss. We were all scared, nervous what was going to happen, but we also felt that sense of loss with our people. And we were actually, after COVID, once we reopened, people were very resilient. They wanted to come back. They wanted to come back to their people, and to get back to working out and that type of thing. But I think it was really those emotional connections that people that had made previous to COVID, that now have just amplified twofold. And so now with us, we have a great community with our staff. We're growth minded. We're high performing, but we care about one another and we want each other to grow. But we also push that forward with our community, with the people that come into the club every single day.
Got it. So, you've been on a number of different teams.
Yeah.
You work for other people at different facilities. How did you kind of purposely put your special sauce on this, or like this? SparkFit is basically a representation of Adam.
Yeah.
And how do you do that from a hiring standpoint? How do you do that from when you walk around the club? The best health club operators over the times that I used to tour clubs are the guys that walk around and they're picking up garbage in even like a little wrapper, or even like a straw wrapper in the parking lot, even for like 30 rows deep, or guys that walk in and they say like, they're like cleaning the glass, or walking in, or, they're talking to someone about a piece of equipment that it wasn't put back on right. So how do you kind of put your special touch on it? Also be able to delegate and also say like, okay, I'm going to do the best I can to basically have this in my image. So talk a little bit about that, because I feel like that is what really creates a special place.
Yeah.
And you can't forget about those little things that you push down.
Right. So, for me, I've always been a hard worker. I've always cared about what I've done, and I always wanted to do something special and great. And in doing that, I also realized that the best part of what I was doing was making an impact on people's lives. And I think that's one of the big reasons why people get into this industry, is they want to have a positive impact on people's lives. But also what happens though is that I also wanted to be held accountable, and I also wanted other people around me to be held accountable, and I wanted to have that that be part of the culture. And so when I decided I wanted to do Spark, I wanted to have people that were passionate about being great, but also passionate about making a difference in people's lives. And I also love surrounding myself with people that push me, that I admire. And when I started Spark, I'm lucky enough to actually have a dream team, people that are the best in their industry. I've heard you talk about how important it is to have the best people around in their industry. I'm lucky that my operations manager knows everything and about running the back end of a fitness club, and she's extremely organized. My director of fitness, I would put her up against anybody in the industry. Our new director of tennis is as good of a tennis player and a coach and a person as I know, and with that is your leadership. And we've hired other leaders that are of the same cloth, and it just filters all the way down. And so we all have this. We all have high standards for the work that we put in. We all have a high passion for what we want to do, and that is the culture here. And because I care about them and their personal growth and their professional growth and their families, they in turn do that to their staff, and they in turn do that with the people that walk through our door every single day. And so I feel that, I think, is our secret sauce. We have great programming, we have great coaching, but it's really that culture of caring for one another and really pushing one another.
And when you take a look at a show like this that we're here at Ursa,
Hmm.
Miami Beach, and you take a look at all the technology, can you talk a little bit about what software you're using and how you, as a person who innately cares more about what's happening below the data, or like what's the data telling me, and then let me go and fix it, on a human level, not through an email. I'm actually going to talk to somebody. Maybe talk about that because one of the things that is really intriguing right now is you've got all this data analytics,
Yeah.
and people will tell you what the data means, and I think they can't really tell you what the data means until you talk to somebody at the club,
Yeah.
and talk to the member. So how do you think about utilizing data, and and what software platform are you guys on?
Right now we're on MindBody, and we're trying to figure out if that's the best one for us. To become, quite honestly, we're looking for something that will do exactly what you're talking about. Let us connect to our members more, give our membership a better experience. We're going to my zone. So
Yeah.
and so for that we can help, we can make their experience better so that they're working out more efficiently,
Right.
and they know how they're working out. That is so those technology is something that we would like to use to enhance our community, enhance our culture, to improve our members' experience, to improve that connection with each other.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then, as you take a look at this all-star team that you put together,
Mhm.
we get groups that come to us all the time and say, I want to build another 5, and then I want to build 10, and I want to build 15, and I want to build 20. Da, da, da. You know, Part of the growth is not based on like how much capital you can absorb, but part of growth is saying like, how do I replicate this experience and not lose? A lot of club chains historically have kind of unraveled when you get to a certain point where it's you can't control the culture, you can't control the system, so on and so forth. So how do you think about in this post-COVID environment, you're helping thousands of people,
Mhm.
right? You're employing at least 50 to 100 people on
Yep.
average, probably more. How do you think about what you need to do to satisfy like your own objectives? At the same time, there's no shame in owning like a couple of awesome locations
Yeah.
and saying my growth plan is to keep doing what I'm doing. You
Right.
know?
Yeah. I mean, so we are looking to grow, and what my strategy has been is to accumulate and acquire amazing, great people, and figure out a way to, if we don't have a spot, figure a way
Right.
to keep them and keep them thriving. And so far we've been able to do that, and so I have 7 on my leadership team, and they are the top, they're the best of the best, and we are continuously looking for that. And I think we have a culture here that is looking to push people, to give people the opportunity to grow professionally and personally. And I think if we're not doing that as our business, if we're saying we're going to push you and we're going to allow growth, but we're not doing that as a company, then there's a disconnect. So I
Yeah.
mean, right now we're doing that as a company and as a staff.
Yeah. I mean, two points. One is, a lot of people do grow because they feel like they need to give more opportunity and
Yep.
challenges to their team. So that's totally legit. The second thing that just came up, and it may be an aha moment for me. Imagine you sat down and you said, "Look, I'm going to go find another location, but I'm not going to even look for one until I identify the team
Hmm.
that's going to go and do that."
Hmm.
And it's always in reverse. It's always, I got this awesome location. I'm going to sign this lease. Now, how are we going to staff it?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if we were, a tribe back in the day, and we said, "Hey, we're going to go and post up like another X number of miles down
Yeah.
and kind of build our village out. Who's going?"
Yeah.
Right. The first thing you do is say like, "Who wants to go?" And then we go and find out where we're going.
Sure.
So,
And so I mean, like we have four tennis courts currently at Spark, and I have myself who's done that. I have a director of tennis. I have a head pro, and I have 13 other tennis pros,
Yeah.
and on 4 tennis courts. And of course, that's overkill for 4 tennis courts if that was that was our end result. But it's the fact that we're looking to grow, and we want to be the best, and so, or as best that we can.
right.
And so we are we're in that mode right now of acquiring talent.
Gotcha. So when you take a look at, optimizing revenue on a tennis court,
Yeah.
over time or pre-COVID, people say, that's just not a great use of the square footage here, and we're gonna, you know, put some turf down, or we're gonna cut it up, or what have you. Talk about how you've kind of looked at the different types of people that are going to Spark, and how you're setting up a schedule there. Where it's like, obviously kids tennis has always been huge,
Yeah.
but now, a lot of my friends say, hey, I went to this, tennis clinic, and people like 50 and above now are saying, I actually want to get better at this, and I want to turn it into like a social networking, not just saying like, I don't play tennis.
Right.
So how do you kind of think about the schedule and then also having an open time?
All our tennis is based around social, competitive, getting better. But we're like our most popular tennis program is. I'm not a big fan of the traditional cardio tennis, so we've kind of created our own, and it's our most popular program. On Saturday and Sunday morning, we have 4 courts. We have 32 people coming to do our version, Sparks version of cardio tennis. And then we have at night, and then the next hour the next hour and a half we have another 32 people, and so we're satisfying over 100 people in 3 hours on the tennis court, and so we do that throughout the week, and so what we're trying to do here is trying to create a community, because that's a fitness class. So people they're having fun, they're improving their skills, they're meeting new people, they're getting fitter. We're checking all the boxes with that. And then we have teams, and then we have socials, and then we have round robins, which is creating that connectivity with our members. And a lot of these people are doing their fitness, are doing personal training, are doing our boot camp classes, are doing cycling or CrossFit. So we're trying to create opportunities for people to enjoy the game of tennis, but also introduce them to other things in the club. By the way, the people in the fitness gym are also seeing the fun that's happening on the tennis court, and we're constantly looking at trying to create avenues for them to come try the game.
That's great. So in closing here, as you think about what a Spark Fit is going to be in the future, are all these pieces of the puzzle, kind of replicatable? Are there certain things you're gonna add? There's a lot of groups that say, I'm gonna take a couple tennis courts, we're gonna turn them into pickleball. There's gonna be, I'm gonna do daycare. I'm not gonna do daycare. So, as an influencer, if you will, on this podcast, say if you have this type of facility, here's some of the things that you as an innovator or first mover are gonna say, this is where I'm headed.
We are diving in very much into, with regards to tennis, group tennis. Anything that is with whether, like I said to you before, some sort of cardio tennis. We are definitely going into. We promote teams. We have the most USTA teams in New England on a 4-court facility, because we believe in the fact that people enjoy being a part of a team, and I've heard you say that too. I think. The magic happens when you have a coach and a group of people that hold each other accountable, and whether that's in tennis, whether that's in fitness, and I think that's where we're headed.
Awesome. So in closing here, I'm going to play for you what I did for my dad, for and then we'll let him put some music on at the end here. But it was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
And look forward to coming out and playing tennis. Actually, I have my tennis racket with me. I got my Babolat bag.
Let's go.
And this is what I had done for my dad for Father's Day.
Oh, nice.
So you get Patrick McEnroe on the cameo, and we'll get all these celebrities and influencers up to Spark Fit.
Okay.
Good to see you, man. Welcome to the Halo sector officially. Thanks for reaching out, and we'll check in on your success.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.